more, sissy. Fly. Freedom.
Burning bright versus burning bridges. Whenever you start a new situation, you're almost always in one of two phases. Either you are uncertain about yourself and unsure of what to do, or you are uncertain about what to do, but you're confident in what you can do. Those two states require very different responses. Yet people often confuse the two states, and the confusion is where social and professional missteps often occur. When you're uncertain about yourself. If you're uncertain about yourself, the problem is not competence. Instead, it's about presence. In these moments, your internal state is undermining your external behavior. Fortunately, there are practical tools to bridge the gap that occurs in that state. One of my favorite resources is Amy Cuddy's work on presence. I also like Charlie Hoopert's YouTube channel on Charisma on Command. Now, some people avoid deliberately training charisma because it feels inauthentic. That objection, however, misunderstands what authenticity actually is. Authenticity is not behaving the way you feel. That's simply being emotional. Authenticity is behaving in alignment with who you are when you are at your best. When a new or threatening environment causes you to shrink, to hesitate or defer excessively, that is not authenticity. That is context-driven self-doubt. Using posture, tone, eye contact, and deliberate behavior to project confidence is not pretending to be someone else. It is a tool to help you act the way you naturally would if you felt safe, grounded, and at ease. The goal is not performance, the goal is regulation. Once you understand that distinction, it becomes easier to start using these tools to build habits without feeling fraudulent. When you're confident in yourself but unsure of how to act. The second state is more subtle and more dangerous if mishandled. Here, you know you're capable. You trust your judgment. What you don't yet understand is the culture, the power dynamics, or the unwritten rules of the environment. In this case, the correct move is not to wait passively, but it is also not to dominate. This is where acting like an A player matters. I have a video that you can see also on how to be an A player. Acting like an A player does not mean acting like the loudest or most assertive person in the room. It means observing and mirroring the behavior of the people who are already effective, trusted, and respected. Most people in any organization are uncertain. As a result, they wait. They wait to be told what to do, what to say, and often what to think. A players don't wait for permission to contribute. Instead, they offer ideas, they ask intelligent questions, and they take initiative while being open to correction. If you're unsure, ask. If you have an idea, share it. If you see a problem, propose a solution. But you must also do it with calibration. Where people get it wrong. Calibration. Calibration is where most people stumble. There is a critical difference between confidence and arrogance, and confusing the two is costly. Arrogance is not excess confidence. It is overcompensated insecurity. Confident do not seek validation. They don't need affirmation. They act decisively because they already trust themselves in what they have to do or say. The arrogant, by contrast, are signaling. They need others to acknowledge their superiority so they can feel secure. Their behavior is louder, more visible, more insistent. Ironically, when you lack sufficient information about someone, his arrogance can look like confidence because both behaviors project certainty. Soon enough, you can tell based on his motivations. Confidence is internally anchored, and arrogance is externally dependent. When people try to appear confident without being grounded, they often imitate the behaviors of the arrogant rather than the confident. The result is off-putting, interrupting, correcting unnecessarily, asserting too early, or pushing ideas without regard for context or relationships. Confidence without offense. The practical goal is simple. Speak your mind without alienating people. In the new position, you are still a rookie, regardless of your actual experience. That means you should gather information to gain present and historical context while you build trust and demonstrate your ability to deliver. Even when you're right, opposing someone who is sensitive, territorial, or high status in public may cost more than it gains. Sometimes the correct move is to let something go. Other times is to deliver feedback privately, framing it as support for the person and the organization and not as a bid for status. Confidence is not about winning moments, it's about building credibility. That credibility comes from delivery. And delivery requires understanding what others consider valuable, and not just what you believe should matter. The fastest way to learn that is by asking thoughtful questions and listening carefully. When stubbornness becomes an asset. In an earlier video, I talk about the difference between fear of failure and hatred of failure, as being stubborn and pushing for what you believe is right, even when there is resistance. That advice is sound, but it can be misapplied if not understood properly. Stubbornness is an asset after you have established yourself. Career capital, which is the accumulated set of rare, valuable skills, knowledge, connections, and reputation that you can build over time. Career capital, that buys you the freedom to act fully independently. Once you have demonstrated that you can deliver, that your judgment is generally sound, and that you understand how the organization works, you earn discretion. At that point, your willingness to take risks, challenge assumptions, or push unpopular ideas is far more likely to be tolerated and even respected. Before that point, however, that same behavior is not interpreted as principled conviction. It is interpreted as arrogance, naivete, or poor judgment. The idea may be right, but the timing can be wrong. This is why calibration matters. Early on, your job is not to win every argument, but to build trust. Later, that trust becomes a platform from which you can afford to be stubborn. Core principle. The confident stay calibrated. Use tools to regulate yourself when you feel uncertain and act like an A player when you know your value. Speak up, but don't perform. Assert, but don't signal a need for status. Deliver value as a team defines it, not as your ego does. When you get that balance right, confidence stops being something you try to project and becomes something others naturally recognize.